guys! So, it's February. It was like the 3rd of January when I last uploaded. I'm sorry. I've had a bit of a problem in that the last video I did was a storytime video about something quite serious. It was about me getting assaulted, which, like, it wasn't clickbait. It was something that happened on New Year's Eve in a club. Although I did it in a light-hearted way, it was quite a serious thing to talk about. And I have another storytime video planned, which is also about something quite serious. So I wanted to do something light-hearted in between, so it wouldn't be too many like depressing videos at once. So I've been racking my brains for something light-hearted to do, and I just haven't been able to. I just have not had the ability to be light-hearted in these times. That's just how I've been recently. I have not been feeling very light-hearted and happy, and then my inner self was like, do a video about abortion! So yeah, I thought I'd do a video about what it means to be pro-choice, because I feel like I'm saying this a lot online and to people IRL, and I've been tweeting about it a lot, and I feel like I'm just repeating myself. So I feel like if I make a video about it, it's out in the open, and then if people need to hear my views or want to hear my views, they can watch my video. And I'm wearing my nasty woman top, of course. I've written down some questions to answer. What is pro-choice and what is pro-life? In your opinion, do people have the right to be pro-life? Talking about Planned Parenthood and talking about a pro-life person that I met recently and spoke to. Okay, so 1. What is pro-choice? Because there are some myths about this that I wanted to debunk. Is that even a word? Probably. Being pro-choice is not being pro-abortion. That's what people think it means. Obviously the two things come hand in hand because it involves abortion, but being pro-choice doesn't necessarily mean being pro-abortion. It means pro-women, well, people, because trans people exist, pro-people having the choice of abortion if it's necessary. And sometimes it's necessary. A lot of people who are pro-life, or who just don't know a lot about being pro-choice, think that pro-choice is pro not using any contraception, using abortion as the only form of contraception. In other words, just get pregnant and have an abortion if you can't be bothered. Which is so ridiculous because a lot of countries don't have free healthcare, and a lot of countries you can't do that, and no one would do that anyway. Like, that's a really traumatic thing to go through. Being pro-choice, you can still be pro-contraception and pro-making every effort you can to not get accidentally pregnant. It doesn't mean that if someone is pro-choice that they have unprotected sex with everybody. A, because they could get pregnant and abortions aren't a fun thing to go through, and B, because sexually transmitted diseases exist, AIDS is a thing. Pro-choice people don't just have unprotected sex with everybody. That's ridiculous. It's not a thing that happens. I mean, there might be people who do that, but that's not what pro-choice stands for. Pro-choice is also being pro putting methods in place so that you don't get accidentally pregnant, using condoms, the pill, etc. Maybe people who are pro-choice also abstain from sex, wait till they're married, wait till they find the right person, etc. It doesn't mean that they're having unprotected sex with everybody who moves. That's not necessarily what it is. You can also be pro-contraception. You can also be against abortion in your own personal beliefs. And that's absolutely fine. You have the right to be against having an abortion. If you were to get pregnant and your family or partner or even friends, whoever, were pressuring you to have an abortion, that would be wrong. Your right to your own body is important, and no one should be able to tell you that you should have an abortion because of this, blah blah blah, even if they might have their reasons for saying that. Obviously people can advise you on what to do, but at the end of the day, it's your body and your choice. You have the right to be anti-abortion, and you have the right to not want to have an abortion if you want. You can still be pro-choice and support other people's rights, and I'll get onto that in a minute. So, what is pro-life? Well, pro-life is not pro-life, in many people's opinions, because the pro-life belief supports keeping the fetus in the womb and not terminating it, and that's it. A lot of people call it pro-fetus if they don't agree that the principle of it is pro-life, and the reason that is it's just making sure someone isn't allowed to terminate the fetus that's in their body. It's not giving the child any life outside of that when they're born. It's not supporting the mother if the mother is in poverty, or if the mother can't afford healthcare, etc. If the mother's got too many children, she might have mental health problems or some health problems that mean that she can't look after her children. Again, this could be a he because trans men can get pregnant, so sorry for generalising that it's female. They might not be female. And a lot of pro-fetus people, pro-life people, are not doing anything to support that. The people who are fighting to defund Planned Parenthood are the same people who are taking the Affordable Care Act away from poor families. Not only are they unable to have their own reproductive rights, they can't abort the baby if they need to, but they also, once the baby's born, the baby will have no health care. Now, this isn't all pro-life people. Some people are pro-life and they also support the child having healthcare when it's born and not being in poverty and having an education and such, but a lot of the people working towards pro-life values, including the pro-life politicians, are not supporting this. And a lot of traditional families, so maybe very conservative families, right-wing families who are pro-life, who say child's rights are important, you can't abort the child. If their child grows up to be gay or trans, it's a completely different story. As I'm saying, not all pro-life people have those values. Some people are pro-life and they would love their child whether they were gay, straight, transgender, bisexual, whatever. But unfortunately, being pro-life doesn't necessarily mean that. They support all children until they're born, and then they can get fucked. They don't think they should have the right to affordable healthcare and affordable education where they won't be indoctrinated. They don't think they have the right to express their sexuality or gender without being disowned. If the child grows up to be gay and wants to get married, they won't have that right. And that hasn't even got onto the mother's rights and why she should have reproduction rights and all that. That's just talking about the child. Caring about the child until it's born and then no longer giving a shit is not being pro-life. That's being pro-fetus. And then when the child's born and the mum's got too many kids, she can't afford to support them, she doesn't have any money, she doesn't have any infrastructure behind her to help her, then the pro-life people are nowhere to be seen. Supporting that that's promoting life is completely inaccurate. This section is something I've already touched on, but I'm going to go into a bit more depth with it, and this section is answering the question, do people have the right to be pro-life, in your opinion? I would say definitely not, in my opinion, and I've said before that you have the right to be against abortion. You have the absolute right to think that abortion is bad, you think it's murder, whatever, and you're completely against doing it, you would never do it yourself. And that's your own belief, and I support anyone if they're against abortion because that is their right and that is their belief, and if they don't want to have an abortion they should never be pressured into it. They have the right to be against abortion because that is their personal belief. They do not have the right to stop anybody else from having an abortion. That is a completely separate thing. Being against abortion in your personal belief and stopping other people from doing what they need to do and forcing your beliefs on them. They're two very different things. I completely support someone being against abortion. I completely don't support them forcing it on somebody else. Next thing on the list is Planned Parenthood. Now, Planned Parenthood is a service in America that offers a lot of services. It offers affordable screening, it offers contraception, it offers advice, smear tests. I think in America they're called pap smears. Don't know what that means. But in England it's called a smear test. It offers a lot of sexual health services to ensure that women are safe and they're not getting sexually transmitted diseases, etc. And a very small percentage of it is abortions. And all the other things they do are the sort of thing that you can get on the NHS in England. But in America there's no NHS, and Planned Parenthood are doing a pretty good job of covering that side. Even if they banned abortion and made it so no one in America could have an abortion, oh god no, even if they did that, Planned Parenthood would still be useful because they do a lot of other useful jobs. It's not that Planned Parenthood only offers abortion. It offers a lot of other things that are very useful to women. Like I said, abortion is a very last resort thing. It's usually what people resort to when they've already tried contraception and it's failed. Maybe they didn't get the morning after pill on time, or it wasn't available to them in their state or whatever. Maybe they've put all these ideas in place and it still hasn't worked. It is a very last resort thing. It's not something that people have once a year on their trip to Planned Parenthood, and not everyone, if you go into a Planned Parenthood or go past one, not everyone will be there for an abortion. And the rumour that all Planned Parenthood does is abortions, and if you're giving money to Planned Parenthood then you're supporting abortions, isn't necessarily true. And you wouldn't be supporting abortions anyway, you'd just be supporting safe and legal and affordable abortions rather than either abortions on private healthcare that people can't afford, or if it's illegal, like backstreet abortions that can go very badly wrong. Not good. But even as you give money to or give support to Planned Parenthood, in a way you're supporting the abortion services that they do, but you're supporting so many other things as well. If you defund Planned Parenthood, there won't be any of that. And then there'll be more need for abortion because people can't get affordable birth control because you've defunded Planned Parenthood. It doesn't work. Okay, I'm getting to my final point, and I really did want to put this in, and it's actually this happening that made me really want to do the video in the first place. This was like the final straw to actually, yes, I'm going to make the video. I spoke to somebody who is pro-life, and she expressed her opinion, and I wanted to talk about what we discussed because it's good to hear different people's point of views. So the person said that they were pro-life, and obviously I was like, why? Why would you be pro-life? I wasn't particularly argumentative or whatever, I just genuinely wanted to know. And she said, oh, you know, people have these late stage abortions, and usual thing you hear, I saw a premature child and I knew that they could have been aborted at that stage and that's so sad. I said, so you're against late stage abortions? And she said, yeah. I said, okay, but late stage abortions only happen if the person is at risk and if it's a medical emergency, if they could literally die if they give birth. I said, people don't do that unless it's a life-changing kind of situation. She said, oh, no, that's not true. I said, yes, it is. How many women do you know who are pregnant and wait till they're about 8.5 months gone and decorate the bedroom and buy baby clothes, etc., etc., and then go, actually, I'm a little bit busy next week, I can't be bothered, let's have an abortion. I said, it doesn't happen. It would be a very distressing thing for a woman to go through. If a woman thinks she's going to have a baby, she's going to have the baby. If she's scared to have the baby, she'll abort it straight away. There's no reason someone would wait that long and then just go, actually, I've changed my mind, I'll have an abortion. It doesn't happen. And it's not allowed to happen because late stage abortions are only allowed in specific cases. I guess medical emergencies. They're not the norm. And I said that it's a lot of right-wing propaganda to say it's the norm and every woman has loads of unprotected sex and then has an abortion at 8.5 months. It's not true, that doesn't happen. And she said, actually it does, and I can tell you it does because I've worked in healthcare. I said, okay, tell me about that. She said, I've worked in healthcare and I've seen women who just have abortions as contraception. I said, that doesn't happen. She said, yes it does. They just have a late stage abortion, they just didn't get it together. I said, when was this? She said, oh, in the 1980s. I said, did the morning after pill exist in the 1980s? Oh, well, yeah, it did, but it wasn't widespread. I said, well then, of course. I mean, you could still have an early stage abortion, but if the morning after pill wasn't widespread, and you've accidentally got pregnant, and you don't know what to do and you haven't got it together, maybe that would happen. In the 21st century, it's changed. People are stopping late stage abortions unless it's a medical emergency. This isn't the 1800s where women would die in childbirth all the time. We have the means to stop that happening. Sometimes someone has to have a late stage abortion and it's very upsetting for the woman and she shouldn't get attacked for it. But that is definitely a last resort. We have better healthcare now. Hopefully it will stay that way. And we ensure that lots of other methods are put in place first. The pill, condoms, and the morning after pill if you need it. If not, there is advice. All of this exists for a very good reason, and hopefully in the future it will only get better. But defunding people's healthcare is not the way to go. Also, I didn't get onto this for some reason, but trigger warning, hello. But people could get raped and they've been forced into a sexual experience that they did not consent to, and it's completely, incredibly traumatic. And it would be even more traumatic to force that person to go through pregnancy, childbirth and parenting, like that child's for life, not for 9 months. Once the child's born, you look after them until they're 18 and then you're still their parent forever. And their rights are important. And yes, forcing women who've been raped to go through pregnancy, childbirth, etc. and to be a parent is horrible. Because A, it's completely traumatising for the woman, and B, it's not fair on the child. The child might be unloved because of that situation, and it's not fair. Somebody could have an abortion either because they're too young, they've been raped, they haven't got money, etc., blah blah blah, and then later in life they could find the right person or the right situation and have a child. As I said, forcing people to go through their pregnancies and have the child isn't always the right thing to do. Sometimes, just because someone's having an abortion doesn't mean they're going to have abortions every year of their life. Chances are they could end up having a very happy family one day, or they might just not want to have children ever. Even if they're not planning on having a family one day, still doesn't mean forcing them to be a parent is okay. Yes, the whole "you made your bed, you lie in it" concept exists, and yes, not all the unplanned pregnancies come from rape. Sometimes she had messed up just as much as him, and they both fucked up, didn't use the contraception, whatever. And yes, the "you made your bed, you lie in it" concept does work for some things. A child's life, no, that's not fair. Children shouldn't be used in that way. It's not fair on them. They're not pawns or like tools, they're people. I hope you liked my ramble and understood what I was on about, because, I don't know, I tried to stick to bullet points, but I do kind of tend to veer off on tangents sometimes. You can leave your feedback in the comments as what your opinions are on the situation, and subscribe if you haven't already. And also, you need nowadays to ring the bell, ding the bell, and you will get updates on what I do. So I hope you all have a lovely day, and I hope February is a bit better for us than January, and hopefully people will still have affordable healthcare by the end of the month. Bye!